As far as I'm concerned, today's class is one of the most important classes that we've posted all year. We're talking about becoming a builder of women, and now more than ever, it feels like this is such an important topic. Amy Dott Harmer is just an all-around incredible woman, honestly. She is the executive director of the Utah Refugee Connection. She works with the refugee community. She is someone that has inspired me so much through her social media page. And she's gonna be talking today about how we can become a pit crew for our friends, how we can be a builder of women, how we can be the kind of friend that other people need. And maybe it's more about what we can do to help others than it is about how we feel about ourselves. And maybe those two things go hand in hand, and we can find self-confidence and purpose as we seek to lift up other women.
So I'm really excited to finally have a quiet moment outside. The sun's starting to go down. It's been a long day, but it's beautiful. Hopefully you can hear the birds and feel a little sense of calm if your life has been a little crazy. But I wanted to talk a little bit about an interesting conversation that I had with my 15-year-old teenage daughter the other day when we were driving. And it was really insightful and really meaningful because it made me think a lot about friendships I've had in my life. She was talking about how there are certain people that she associates with that are really wonderful at making her feel at home, making her feel like she can be herself and that she can say anything without feeling judged. And then she said there were other friends that maybe weren't so easy for her to be herself. And it made me think about a lot of my own experiences as I've grown up with friendship and friend groups. And I remember kind of the yin and yang of those teenage years where you want to be cool and you want to be included, but maybe those aren't the natural people that you feel drawn to. I also remember two different girls from different environments that I was in that I don't know, I wish I could encapsulate the magic that they seemed to project, but they were very confident. They weren't maybe your most striking, beautiful people, but they had the best hearts. And I remember thinking they were always builders. Like when you were with them, they were constantly complimenting you or discovering the best things about you. And they didn't seem to be threatened by anyone else's strengths. Rather, they said, oh, you play the guitar, well, I sing. Well, let's try, you know, doing some songs when we go up and barbecue up the canyon. And it was just magical to watch them. And I remember admiring them from afar and wishing I could be more like them. And through the years, I've kind of felt the joy and the strength of different friend groups. And I've also had some heartbreaking experience with friend groups, but I've become a little more passionate about creating safe and supportive environments, especially for women. And one of the groups that was probably the biggest experiment was I love to mountain bike, and there were lots of women in my neighborhood and women that I knew that wanted to learn to mountain bike. So we started going once or twice a week on these mountain bike rides with all different levels, and different people would join us, and some people would like it, some people wouldn't. But one of the beautiful things I learned from that experience is over time we decided anyone was welcome that wanted to try, and we didn't ever feel a sense of competitiveness. We just kind of fell in line with whoever rode first, whoever wanted to be at the back. We pushed each other to try new things. And we had one lady in our group who I love, and she had just turned 60. And she was riding really well. I thought, man, I hope I ride that well when I'm 60. But she really struggled with some of the rock gardens we would encounter. And I remember one day we were all climbing the same trail, and we'd kind of wait till everyone cleared this more challenging rock garden. And I remember watching her first time navigating that rock garden successfully, and all of us cheering. And it was so empowering to watch someone, first of all, try something a little beyond their skill level, but then see all these women cheer cheer her on as she did it successfully. And, you know, we would drive to different mountain bike trails and we'd solve problems and talk to each other about our lives on the way. And then we'd get to the trail and just enjoy being in nature and cheering each other on. And I loved it. There was no drama. There was no competitiveness. We just enjoyed being out there. So another experience I had with friends is I had a friend that I was fairly close to that I didn't see super often, but I remember she reached out to me and she just said, I'm really struggling and I need someone I can check in with once a week and just see how I'm doing. And it was really interesting. I was really honored she would ask me for that support and help. But what I didn't realize is as we spent each week checking in, how much it did for me and how much our friendship grew. And to me, it was a little bit like she needed a pit crew. And when I say pit crew, I want you to think about race car drivers. And when they're driving their car and having success, when they make their laps, when they need some support, they have this pit crew where they can pull in and have their tires changed. They can fix the windshield wipers. They can add new oil. They can do whatever needs to be done. And they're called a pit crew. And so to me, pit crew stood for personally in tune friend. And I think we all need a pit crew. We need a personally in tune friend that, and hopefully more than one person, that we can go around the track, but when we're struggling, when like our steering's off or maybe the windshield wipers aren't turning the right way or our tire's a little low, we can pull in and those friends can help us correct some of the things that we might be struggling with. And so I hope that maybe you'll think about, who is my pit crew, or who could I be a better pit crew to, and what kind of opportunities will that provide for me? The last group of friends, and I get really emotional talking about this, but the last maybe 5 years, my focus for creating safe environments for women and friends is the refugee community here in Utah. And I have learned so much from these women, and I think initially I was hoping that my experience would be that I would give and I'd feel good about myself because of what I give. But what I've discovered is those women have been through the most unimaginable things, devastating, heartbreaking things, and they're incredibly resilient, but incredibly fragile, incredibly powerful, but incredibly weak in a lot of ways. They need love and support and safe places to be. And I've discovered that, you know, a lot of the refugee communities are very tribal, and they watch out for each other and they take care of each other. And sometimes they just need a place to meet, or they need an environment where that's supported. And one of the great joys that I've experienced in friend groups is discovering that there's pit crews in every different community, that there are personally in tune friends for people of different cultures. And it's even more beautiful when you cross cultures. So I don't know, just to encapsulate a little bit of what I've talked about, is I think it's really important to learn how to be a good friend, and also find good friends and find people that allow you to be the best version of yourself. I've been fortunate to grow up. I grew up in a home where my parents would always say it's the relationships that mattered. And we didn't have a fancy, sophisticated house. We had a very simple house, and it was probably apparent to a lot of people that, you know, my dad was a professor. He didn't make a lot. My mom, you know, stayed home most of the time when we were little, but then needed to work when we were older. But I hope that people felt in our home that they were loved and they were acknowledged, and that they felt built up, because I think one of the best things we can offer humanity is to build one another up. I have a little piece of paper here with a quote because I don't want to misphrase it, but Mother Teresa said, and I love this quote, she said, "Spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving happier." And I think as we're teaching our daughters, especially, and our kids how to be friends, that we want to encourage them to be a true friend, and we want them to find friends that allow them to be themselves. And then we want to exemplify for them the same thing. We want to spread love everywhere we go and let the people know that we're with, that we want them to leave happier than when they found us. And so I hope these thoughts are helpful. Like I said, I find a lot of joy in watching my kids develop really great friendships and become builders. And I always hope and pray that they'll become even better than me, and that they'll find friend groups and encourage their friends in ways that are meaningful and create safety nets for those that they come to interact with. And at the same time, I can model for them the best kind of way to be a friend, and remember to be a really good pit crew member, and also find some really good pit crew members, because those personally in tune friends will probably be the friends that will help you the most and be the most courageous in stepping up to the plate for you when things are down. So I hope these thoughts are helpful. I appreciate you spending 10 minutes thinking about ways to be a better friend, and hopefully we can encourage one another to be builders.
Is it weird that I'm a little bit teary after watching that? Gosh, this is what we need in our world right now. We as women need to, there's my little kitty, rise up and support other women, cheer them on. There's so much divisiveness right now in this country and in this world. And let's think right now, like learning from Amy, what can you do today to help build up another woman? As we build up other women, we will be building up the communities that we live in, and we will be strengthening our societies. And I know that as we do that, we're also gonna be finding confidence within ourselves and a deeper peace. And so let's just do it, especially this week with Mother's Day. It's a wonderful time to celebrate women.